Hello, we're Open Doors Metropolitan Community Church in Seoul, Korea, and this is our YouTube channel. We're a community seeking to live out the radically inclusive love of Jesus the Christ. We're a faith community of the Progressive Christian Alliance and an emerging church of metropolitan community churches. Please join us now for excerpts from the service held on Sunday, August 28th, 2016. The theme of our service is shame, shame, shame. And the preacher is the Rev Daniel Payne, our founding pastor. This was a special Sunday for us, as this marked Daniel's last time with us before he moved back to the United States with his husband to begin a new job. We hope you'll enjoy watching.
The reading for today is from the Gospel according to Luke, the 13th chapter, reading the 10th to the 17th verses. Now, he was teaching in one of the synagogues on the Sabbath. And just then there appeared a woman with a spirit that had crippled her for 18 years. She was bent over and quite unable to stand up straight. When Jesus saw her, he called her over and said, "Woman, you are set free from your ailment." When he laid his hands on her, immediately she stood up straight and began praising God. But the leader of the synagogue, indignant because Jesus had cured on the Sabbath, kept saying to the crowd, "There are 6 days on which work ought to be done. Come on those days to be cured, and not on the Sabbath day." But the Lord answered him and said, "You hypocrites! Does not each of you on the Sabbath untie his ox or his donkey from the manger and lead it away to give it water? And ought not this woman, a daughter of Abraham, whom Satan bound for 18 long years, be set free from this bondage on the Sabbath day?" When he said this, all his opponents were put to shame, and the entire crowd was rejoicing at all the wonderful things that he was doing. I ask you to join with me now in extending a welcome to a man whose work has been truly inspiring and impressive here in establishing this congregation, in being a tireless advocate for LGBT rights, as being one of the guiding lights who helped establish the LGBTQ crisis center known as Ding Dong, and a man who was touted by, I think it was Groove magazine, as one of the 100 most important expat leaders here in Korea. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to the Rev Daniel Payne.
When I was trying to decide what to wear this morning, I thought I'd go Jesus and wear my... This reading actually is from the gospel reading from the lectionary last week. And in the gospel reading this morning, we see a woman bent over, crippled and shamed for 18 long years. We also see a group of religious folks who only seem to give a damn about two things: rules and shaming those who don't follow the rules. Now, usually in churches, when you hear sermons on these kinds of passages, you'll either hear a sermon based on the point of view of the gospel writer, whatever the pastor thinks that might be, or Jesus' point of view, which is very important, of course. But when I was reading through this gospel last week, what struck me was the point of view that the woman must have been experiencing. And I don't think we, in most churches anyway, hear the voices or see through the lens of women, especially, and the minority character in the readings. It's usually Jesus or the gospel writer. So I want to talk about what this woman might have been experiencing. When I was reading through the gospel passage last week, I remembered a scene from a famous fantasy TV show many of you may also watch, Game of Thrones. Spoiler alert. If you haven't yet watched up through season 5, close your ears, though I'll try to be as vague as possible while giving you the picture.
Couldn't care less.
Okay. A woman has her hair shaved off and is stripped naked by the religious powers that be in the TV show. And she is forced to walk through the streets of her city while the religious folk cry out, "Shame, shame, shame," and throw various unsavory items at her. She is humiliated. Her body is used as her source of shame. The gospel reading this morning is even more surprising in 2 ways. First, the woman in this story had apparently been bent over, crippled and helpless, and invisible, for the most part, for a whole 18 years. Her invisibility is what hit me hardest. A woman, less than an ox or a donkey in the eyes of the religious leaders, was shamed for seeking healing. A woman, crippled, whose body no doubt made people avert their eyes to other more desirable sights, was shamed by the patriarchal powers. Her station as a female and as a cripple made her less than second class, something shameful, a nobody. The second surprising thing from the reading, at least in the eyes of the readers of Luke's gospel, would have been Jesus' willingness not only to give this woman attention, but to heal her on the Sabbath, knowing full well he'd piss off the patriarchy. Jesus, a supposedly good Jew, was always ready to break some religious laws and overturn some stagnant expectations in order to embody love. And that's exactly what he did in this story. Rather nonchalantly, he recognizes this woman's inherent worth as a human being, the worth of her physical body, and the hypocrisy of ineffectual religion. For Jesus, the woman is a child of Abraham. In some of the renditions of the gospel, they translate it as child, not daughter. A child of Abraham, placing daughters and sons on an equal footing. For Jesus, the body is just as important as the soul. He'll have none of this world is not my home, I'm just a passing through kind of nihilistic theology. Salvation is here and now for Jesus. For Jesus, the religious leaders are almost always the ones in the wrong, which also means you should question whatever you hear up here. And the masses are the true children of God, not because they're any better than the religious leaders, but because they get it. All people have inherent worth and dignity, not just those in power and not just those with the correct genitalia. Now, I'd kind of like to say that shame had no place in Jesus' teaching, but according to this passage, that isn't entirely true. And something deep down inside of me kind of likes that, to tell the truth. From Matthew to John, Jesus is constantly turning expectations upside down. He's a revolutionary. The rich become poor, the strong become weak, the masters become slaves, etc. And in today's reading, the shaming become the shamed. Shame does seem to have a place in Jesus' teaching, and perhaps that's not entirely a bad thing. The writer of Luke's Gospel comments on Jesus' words, "You hypocrites, doesn't each of you on the Sabbath untie your ox or donkey from the stall and lead it out to give it water? Then should not this woman, a daughter of Abraham, whom Satan has kept bound for 18 long years, be set free on the Sabbath day from what bound her?" When he said this, all his opponents were humiliated. shamed. But the people were delighted with all the wonderful things he was doing. His opponents were humiliated. It's kind of delicious, isn't it? Might properly placed shame be a good thing? So how does this passage hit home for us? What is it saying to us where we sit and where we live this morning? I think it says a couple of things for us to consider. First, it says that bodies are important. Our physical bodies are important. And that a healthy body image is vital to our holistic well-being. We live in a body-shaming culture. Women get this all the time. And from my experience, it's extra cruel in the LGBTQ community. The perfect body, the washboard abs, the perky taut butt, the chiseled jaw, and on and on. That's what seems to matter most in our culture, straight and gay. But this passage shows us just the opposite. The crippled, bent-over woman is just as worthy as the healed woman. The female is just as important as the male. The body is our home, and our homes are intrinsically good. Short, tall, fat, skinny, white, black, female, male, all bodies are sacred and worthy of respect. And second, the passage speaks a reversal of shame into our reality. What's really shameful, in effect, is being an asshole. The focus of shame is turned back on the shallow critic of body shapes and sizes. Humiliation is the domain of the rich and famous, the bold and the beautiful. And I love the last line of the Luke passage. The people were delighted. Jesus brought joy to the people with a big, excuse my French, fuck you to the elite. Do you know Meghan Trainor? The singer Meghan Trainor? Okay. Meghan Trainor had it half right, at least. It's not just about that bass, but also about that treble and everything in between. So maybe the best thing you can do on a Sabbath morning is to strut down the street with your head held high, proud of who you are in every way. Amen.
Even though we had an official farewell dinner for Daniel in June, at which we gave him a gift and we gave him a certificate of appreciation for his ministry and his work here, I could not let this day go by without some kind of official act of recognition for all the work that Daniel has done for us here. Daniel, could you rise and come forward, please? Please know that we are forever in your debt for the work that you have done in establishing this congregation, in helping to create a place where people of all colors of the rainbow have a place where they can be welcome. And as you go, please know that your work has not been wasted. Open Doors Metropolitan Community Church will continue. And your work has been a vital part of that. So, as I anoint you, remember the ways of selfless love. That nothing that is done in the name of selfless love is ever wasted. Anyone who is comfortable may come forward and join me in a laying on of hands. I'm tall, so that's fine. And Hyunsa, you can come forward as well, please. Be part of this. That's okay. Daniel, Hyunsa, as you go today, you carry with you the love, the best wishes, the prayers of this faith community. know that our love and our caring will always be with you in all your future goings and comings. And rest in the knowledge of that love and that support, now and always. Let the people say, Amen. Amen.
So through all the changing scenes of life, the light of faith continues to shine at Open Doors Metropolitan Community Church. So we hope you won't just watch, but also participate in our life as a faith community. All are welcome to join us in our worship and our ministry. Age, sexual orientation, gender identity or expression, ethnicity, ability, and economic status are not barriers to participation. This is what we mean when we say radically inclusive. We worship at 11 a.m. on Sunday mornings in the Haebangchon district in Seoul. For more information about us, our location, and our ministry activities, please check our website at www.opendooorskorea.org. We hope to see you soon.